What could be better than playing a game where you're a sexy red-headed vampire? In my opinion, almost anything. Bloodrayne was released in 2002 for the GameCube, Xbox, and PS2. Later the game was ported over to the PC and Mac, although once I started reading reviews for them, it seems like you should avoid the Mac version at all costs. In this game you play as Rain, a Dhampir working for the Brimstone Society. Already I need to define a few terms. A Dhampir is actually the offspring of a vampire and a human. In this case, Rain's mother is actually unknown and her father is Kagan, who is a major plot point in the whole franchise. The Brimstone Society is a group that's actually looking to limit supernatural threats, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me considering that Rain is part vampire. Just doesn't really work. Not only have they hired Rain, but they hired Mintz, her vampire mentor. Again, makes no sense whatsoever. On an interesting note is actually the Brimstone Society's logo, which when taking a closer look actually is a real world symbol. It's pretty much the version of the Leviathan cross, also known as the Cross of Satan. In alchemy, the Leviathan cross is actually the symbol for sulfur, which is one of the three major components in life. Funny enough, in Asia, it's actually known as the Brimstone symbol. For the first game, you're actually playing through three major acts. The intro video shows Rain before Brimstone, and the first act is actually her first mission in the Brimstone Society. This takes place in 1933 in Louisiana.
Good thing we're not hypersensitive to holy items like some vampires.
You should be all set. I'm going to leaf through these documents. Maybe I can find something about past outbreaks of the disease.
Her first mission doesn't go terribly well. She is sent there to get rid of infected mutates and try to save as many people as she can. This is a horror game, you can imagine how well that goes. Act 2, we're in Argentina in 1938, so a bit of a jump in time. I think this is a little bit more what Bloodrayne is known for. She's sent there to kill Nazis. Because why not? The Nazis are in Argentina to look for artifacts for Beliar, a god in the game. As you can tell, it's actually taken from Belial, whose name means without worth. The third and final act is done in Castle Gestalt. In this chapter again, we're dealing with artifacts, killing Nazis, and weird other monsters, like head, sperm things. Throughout the game, you're actually getting new abilities. You start off with one allowing you to read auras, which is neat. It lets you know where enemies are and different checkpoints are supposed to be. You get a zoom ability, slow motion, and a bunch of others that makes Rain more powerful as you go along. Let's address the big elephant in the room right now, and that is Rain herself. It was pretty clear when they made this game. The focal point was, hey, let's make sure she's hot. She wears a skin-tight suit, likes to suck the blood out of Nazis, and when she does so, she moans. I'm gonna be honest, the last thing I necessarily want to deal with is pretending to be a badass vampire and thinking that my character gets off on it. As crazy as it sounds, Rain was kind of a sex symbol for a while. It may sound kind of common these days, but having a nude version of a video game character was a big deal, and it even made its way into Playboy. The voice of Rain was one Laura Bailey. They kept trying to amp up the lines to make her kind of squirm. That's when they knew that they had the right dialogue for the game, apparently. Rain wasn't an original character, which this actually surprised me to learn. It's based off another character they made for a game named Nocturne. I hope this doesn't surprise anyone, and if it does, kind of shame on you. When your hot main character loves to kill Nazis, of course they sold enough to make several sequels. Alright, so let's start with the Playboy issue. Games Grown Up appeared on shelves October 2004. This whole thing seems rather silly to me, but she also was not the only video game character in there. We also had Nina from Tekken and Melina from Mortal Kombat. So one actual human in there. And then we have the comic books. Several of these were released, and as far as I can tell, there's 16 issues in total. I'm not much of a comic guy, so I really don't know a whole lot about these. Okay, yes, there was a movie based on the game Bloodrayne. And by based, I mean that in the loosest possible terms. The movie was directed by Uwe Boll. This man was known for making and destroying video game films before he retired. Rain was played by Christina Loken, and her father Caden made the appearance, being played by Ben Kingsley.
A daughter, a mighty leader. She could mean the end. The beginning.
Notice when I was talking about the games, I was not discussing Kagan a whole lot. I was talking about Nazis. I don't understand why he's the big bad in this.
A guardian.
The plot of this is drastically different from the game. I can't express how far it is.
Avengers.
This is the headquarters of the Brimstone Society. Physical strength means nothing.
First off, there's no mints. There's no Nazis. All there is Kagan and the Belial artifacts, and even that just seems like such a stretch. We have a game about Nazis, and we have a movie with no Nazis at all. What there is, though, is a very awkward sex scene, which, if you're going to have Rain as a sex symbol, it made sense to the director here to make sure that there was a sex scene with her being topless. I could have gone without seeing this. Seriously, this movie is just absolute trash. Like, the outfit doesn't even fit the actress well. Everything about this is bad. It makes me sad. November 20th, 2020, we actually had an update to the Bloodrayne franchise I never saw coming. The company, Ziggurat, actually decided they were going to buy the entire franchise, and they wanted the first games to get a bit of a facelift. The game went through several changes, the first being that, although the graphics stayed the same, they were cleaned up an awful lot in order to make it much nicer to view on PC. The games were reportedly better to play on PC than they were before, although to be honest with you, I stuck with the console versions when I played these. I don't think I'd go back to playing on PC. Best selling point of this was they actually did something that is kind of rare for most games these days, which this update was completely free if you own the game. So I have the good old games versions bought. They were fairly cheap when I got them, and I automatically got the updated version, which is fairly nice and a goodwill gesture. In an interview with Bloody Discussing, the new owners have said they are open to all new avenues of Bloodrayne content. So if you're a fan of the franchise, I would expect more to come soon. They did also mention the third game in the franchise is more of a spin-off and not part of the mainline series. We can take this to mean there's probably going to be more games, comics, and films being made for this franchise. We have no idea what's coming further down the line, and we have 2 more games that we have to go through before we even think about talking about the future. Not to mention a few other movies as well. Since we have no idea what's to come, we can only hope that we can look back at this video in a few years and be like, yes, Ziggurat made some great choices and pushed Bloodrayne into a positive and prosperous future. Only time's gonna tell. Thank you for watching my Bloodrayne video. If you've enjoyed this at all, please like the video and subscribe as well. We continue to do horror history videos, book review, and game review shorts. We've been live streaming here over at Twitch, over at horror_historian. Thank you everyone again. May you have long days, pleasant nights, and may you have twice the number.